Today's episode, we have with us the co-founder and medical director of Crystal Luxury Wellness. And to know more about who this individual is, let's have a look at the character profile. Dr. Shanika Arsekularatne. And welcome to the program.
Good evening.
All right, so let's start off by talking about Crystal Wellness, a brief definition.
Well, Crystal is Sri Lanka's best aesthetic medicine and anti-aging service provider. And when we were treating our patients, actually, we realized looking good on the outside alone isn't enough. If you're feeling negative on the inside, if you're unwell on the inside, and if you're not really healthy. I mean, somebody can be packaged beautifully, but then you can be not feeling so great inside. So as we went along the way, we also started offering wellness services, which range from integrative medicine, Ayurveda, and lots of other supportive medical treatments in wellness, so that we make a person look good on the outside and on the inside. And our motto is basically, we'll make someone look beautiful like a superstar and perform like a legend. So combining both of them.
Okay, that's great. And what inspired you to become a medical cosmetologist?
So my mom is Sri Lanka's only professor of cosmetology. She has a 30-year history in beauty and cosmetology. And whenever she went for training, I tagged along and went with her. You know, she was a very good mom. She never left me alone when she went for her training, so I always accompanied her. And I watched her study, I watched how she treated her clients, how she trained her students. So naturally, you know, I had a liking towards the field. So after I finished my MBBS, I wanted to pursue in this medical field.
Okay, and let's speak about your journey to becoming an entrepreneur.
Well, I think entrepreneurship is in my genes. Like, I really want to do something. I just don't want to just be a normal doctor. I want to reach a mass market. I want to make a change. I always, when something comes up, I always think of what's the newest thing I can introduce. How can I make it more accessible to people? So I think it's not something I learned, because what I studied was medicine, but looking at my parents or reading books, I don't know, I just have it in my genes.
Okay, and what are some of the challenges that you face when you're starting out on your own or you're starting a new business?
Well, we had quite a few challenges. So first, when I studied cosmetic medicine and came down, nobody knew what cosmetic medicine was, or aesthetic medicine was a completely new term. I had to actually explain it in Sinhalese. There was no Sinhala term for it.
Okay.
So I had to really use social media, digital media, and also TV, newspaper articles to educate people about what cosmetic medicine was. So that was a major challenge, because people knew dermatology, but people didn't know what aesthetic medicine and anti-aging medicine was. And some people thought I was a quack. I did not actually have a medical degree, that I was a beautician trying to, get one of those paid off doctorates, and showing myself off as a doctor. So that was a big challenge, educating. Then number two, there were a lot of, import issues with lasers and these cosmeceuticals that we use, things, because it wasn't accessible in Sri Lanka. So we had to get a lot of things down. And number three, this was when we started off, it was a completely new market. So you can't actually hire a cosmetic nurse. You can't hire a dermal therapist. So we had to train a whole new segment of nurses, a whole segment of, dermal therapists, and then employ them. So that was a challenge.
Okay.
And then, like anything else, jealousy, negativity, people trying to pull you down. You can be very well motivated, you can be like really good in what you do, but becoming an entrepreneur, I have so much respect for entrepreneurs, because you have to wither negativity and people pulling you down as well.
Right.
So that was another one as well.
Okay, and well, despite all of this, you have reached a very high position, so kudos to you. And let's speak a bit about pairing old world techniques with new world technology, because we know sometimes we have to stick to the things that our ancestors taught us, but it's always good to use the technology of the modern world. So let's speak about the hybrid, about this.
So, I mean, with regards to anything, there's always basics, right? There's always the roots. You can't the more successful you are, when you're successful, you have to always find how you're how you're rooted in culture, how you go back to your basics, and then what's new is where you develop new things. So aesthetic medicine always, it changes on a daily basis. There's new technology every month. What the laser we used last year might not be applicable this year. There's a new technology. So while keeping the basics of science, while keeping the basics of health and well-being in mind, we use the newest technologies and applications available for the betterment of the human. That's what we do.
Okay. Now, obviously, if someone wants to improve on their skin, they should maybe pay you a visit, but just share a few tips with me about how one can maintain good skin.
So like what we discussed just before, you can't have magical skin overnight. You need the basics.
Okay.
That is, you need to have your food properly, right? If you have junk food all the time, if you have like the wrong type of food and use products or do a treatment, it's not going to work for you. So the diet is important. Working out, a little bit of physical activity, exercise to boost your circulation is important. Then a consistent skincare routine or hair care routine or body care routine with good products, not these newfound bleach containing so-called herbal nameless little jars and stuff people apply. A good quality skincare routine used consistently. Now, for example, if you want to have a good figure, you can't just go to the gym once or twice, right? You have to be consistent. So similarly, you have to be consistent with a good routine. And in addition to that, that's why we are here. Technology is so developed, you can use the help of modern technology and medicine to reach that perfection.
Right. And now I know some people are usually a bit reluctant, they're a bit scared to use certain products and machines on their face. What do you have to say about this?
So with regards to products, again, go back to common sense. Where is it manufactured? Does it have a registration? Is the person or the company reputed? Right? I mean, you won't buy a cream off some random person who's selling it. You have to use common sense. That's where most people go wrong. With regards to services, you can research about it on Google Scholar, not just this random articles on the internet, because to think of it nowadays, the most uneducated people also have a phone and they put their opinion across on social media, and so somebody who is completely not related can give their opinion about something and mess your mind, and you'll be the person who would be losing out. So if you're getting an opinion, you should get from reputed, qualified people or Google Scholar medical research, and then base your judgment. Ask from educated people in the field. Now, if you ask me something about the newest technology in oncology, I won't know. But I might not show you I don't know sometimes, and I'll give some off the cuff answer. So those are the things you've got to follow.
Okay. And we know that women or females in particular are very conscious about their appearance, and they do a lot to really look their best. But when it comes to men, I see that there are trends now where men are picking up on this. But how has the trends changed from back in the day to now? Have men really started caring about their skin as well?
So I'll give you a surprising data. 46% of our clients are men.
Okay.
So it's not really females, almost 50-50. Men are very much conscious about the way they look, the way they present themselves. I mean, if you go to a gym, there's probably more men than ladies working out, which means they want to care for their physique. So same way, nowadays men, for different reasons, especially for jobs, for personality reasons, want to maintain themselves as well.
Right.
So it's not just a female's world.
Okay. Well, coming back to Crystal Luxury Wellness, let's speak a bit about the Achiever Award for Industrial Excellence.
So I've lost count, thanks to God. I've lost count of all the awards we've won.
Right.
But I think all these awards, one important thing is they can't be bought for money. You have to apply, you have to show credible reports, credible applications, and it is evaluated by proper authorities or audit firms, and is given purely on merit, right? So that is where we are very humble and proud about, because these are not bought off the market. And number two, we are proud why we achieved these awards was because we're proud we've really adapted and changed and survived through 3 waves of COVID where people couldn't come. Aragale, we adapted with the economic crisis. We changed and somehow gave our services to our clients, and also as a business we stood by through, we were resilient.
Right.
So I guess that's why we were awarded.
Okay. And when you start off a business, it's always a gamble. You jump into the water and you assume or you hope for the best. How does it feel from having Crystal Luxury Wellness from where you started to actually winning the local brand of the year? How did that feel?
I'm going to state the contrary, actually. There are some businesses where you gamble, but usually you should do your research.
Right.
You should have a plan. You should have plan A, B and C. Otherwise you can't survive, because gamble is you allow, you give nature that you accept this could go wrong.
Right.
But if you prepare yourself, okay, if this goes wrong, what am I going to do? If this goes wrong, what am I going to do? Like you have a plan, then you can navigate your business better. Okay. Without letting it to, it's not like certain things, definitely it's a gamble, you have to try it out. But then if you're more planned and if you're more plan is the word.
Yeah.
Then I feel we planned better and we envision and plan for the future. That's why we can, we keep ourselves as number one. Okay, if we start A, usually, you know, it gets picked up and then everybody starts doing A.
Yeah.
Then by the time they pick up on A, we've already gone to B or we've introduced C.
Right.
So looking at the future and envisioning it, also having a plan makes it easier.
Okay, so that kind of keeps you ahead of the competition as well.
Yes, you always have to do it. You can't just think, oh, if something goes wrong, let me figure out what I'm going to do. You've got to figure out first, and then also your, you know, risk, you bring your risks down, also you're better prepared.
Okay, now whilst you're pursuing your academics and running a full-time business, how do you manage your work-life balance?
So being a woman, it's very difficult. I have a 1-year-old baby, and I'm blessed in that way. I get a lot of support. My mom, she still works full-time, but then we take turns taking care of baby. Like when I'm working, Ammi's at home supervising and taking care of baby. When she's working, we take turns. And then my husband, as much as there's a woman behind every successful man, definitely a woman can achieve a lot when there's a supportive man behind you. So as much as he is very much secure in his career, he is someone who supports me achieve my dreams. So I have that, and I have a really good team who I can depend on, and you know, they execute our vision. So you need a team. Like we train them, we invest in them as much as possible. So the team matters. It takes a village to get someone to be successful.
Right. And what about the future plans of Crystal Luxury Wellness?
Well, we want to make sure that we make Sri Lanka the cosmetic hub of Southeast Asia. Currently it's dominated by Thailand and then Korea and then India. We are nowhere. So we have so much of resources. We can. So I'm trying to get the help of the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tourism on how we can promote Sri Lanka as a cosmetic hub, because we are very reasonable compared to Europe or America. So people actually travel to get these done as well. So that's the plan.
Right. And once again, when it comes to certain brands and getting your skincare products, countries where you get it from, what advice would you have? Would you suggest the Sri Lankan people to maybe look certain places for certain products? Just a brief.
Well, Sri Lankan brands, we have some amazing products manufactured in Sri Lanka. Under, you know, you wouldn't believe, we have manufacturing facilities in Sri Lanka which is better than some of our medicines come from Spain and Poland. So when we look at those factories, it's the same facility that's here in Sri Lanka.
Right.
Same quality standards. We were amazed. So you have to look at the manufacturing facility. Like on the box, if it's like homemade with no certification, not that it's bad, but how do you maintain quality? Right? How do you if you're doing a homemade business, then you've got to show credibility, show certain certifications, because what is whipped in a basin at home will not have the same sanitation as what is made in a, you know, air controlled, infection controlled facility. So then blaming someone after you use it is your problem, because you haven't actually checked what you're putting on your body. So that is important.
Okay. Now, before we wind up, being a female entrepreneur, we have a lot of viewers out there as well who aspire to be entrepreneurs one day. What advice would you have for them?
Everybody, you know, people can have different dreams. You can aspire to be a professional in a certain field. You can aspire to be an entrepreneur, or both. A, you have to have a clear vision. B, you have to always go back to your roots. B, you know, base yourself on solid grounds, either professionally or learn. And also you have to have relentless passion. You can't just give up for the slightest thing. life happens to everyone. Like, we lost our dad, we fell down. There was COVID, we fell down. There was Aragale, there was nobody coming in. There's now the economic crisis, people, they can't spend. Right? There's import restrictions, we had no medicine. But you have to have a plan and you be relentless if you want to be an entrepreneur. Sometimes having a job is so much more easier because everything else is looked after by others. You have to also look at the finance, HR, manufacturing, or something goes wrong, it's your fault.
Right.
You know, like electrician's fault is your fault by the end of the day. So you've got to have a lot of passion and you've got to be at it. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's not for the faint-hearted. But it is definitely something that everybody can do because God has blessed everyone with a talent. And it's up to us humans to utilize that talent that's been given to us and, you know, make the most of it without complaining.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the valuable advice. That was Dr. Shanika Arsekularatne, the co-founder and medical director of Crystal Luxury Wellness. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
And that winds up today's episode of Business Today. Do join us next time as well. Till then, have a good night.